actually more easy for you. Okay. And yeah, in the exams, as I said, 90% of the questions will be actually numerical only. Maybe some derivations might be actually there, but mainly numerical only we will be having. Uh, yeah, so it is actually important to you attend the tutorials as well as you take these tutorials very seriously. Okay. And I hope many of you got some textbooks. You should actually go through the textbook. So I'm actually trying to include as much topics are actually possible, but still we cannot actually include or we cannot actually uh, go through all the topics in heat transfer, and also we cannot actually go through all the important points also. But if you actually go through the textbooks, all the important points etc will be actually given, especially in Copra as well as this Sengel. Okay, so likewise Hallman, there are so many very good textbooks for. Yeah, so Incorpora is actually like a very good. So it is having enough standard, and it is actually not that difficult also. But Incorpora or the Hallman, it might be actually a bit advanced, but it's only that its language is actually not that friendly. It's actually written in a bit difficult language. That's it. Uh, yeah, but it's Angel. If you are actually read, all the things are actually written in a practical manner. So it's actually very good to learn if you can actually read from Angel itself. Yeah. Anyway, you can actually go through any of the textbooks. So there are, especially for foreign other textbooks, there are actually many practical problems, okay, in the example problems as well as in the exercises. And all. You can actually go through it, and you will get a very good feel of what is actually happening. Okay. Uh, I hope again you all are actually taking down the notes also, okay, because there will not be any PPTs for this class. So I request all of you to just write down the notes so it will be actually easy for you. Okay. So yesterday we were actually seeing the energy derivation or heat diffusion equations for cylindrical coordinates. We actually derived it from the first law of thermodynamics itself. We said from the basic law we can actually see Q in minus Q out plus heat generated is equal to heat stored. We said that the main difference is from the cylindrical and Cartesian coordinate system is that the area of cross section it is actually increasing as it is actually moving in the radial direction. So based on that, we actually derived what is actually the differential variation in the heat transfer as it is actually moving in each direction, R direction, Z direction as well as the theta direction. And we said that if we are actually talking about the theta direction, we are actually differentiate it based on the distance, not just the direction, which is actually theta. We are actually differentiating it based on the distance itself. Uh, Yeah. So, and we actually did our calculations. We just did some all the arithmetics, and we actually basically in the vector form we actually came up with whatever we actually derived for the Cartesian system itself. Okay, so that's where we are actually seeing for cylindrical system. Then we actually saw the spherical system. In the spherical system, we actually didn't solve it fully, but we actually used our vector format, and we actually used the format for del as well as del square in spherical coordinate system to write our basic equation. And then we were actually seeing the boundary condition, which is actually very important for solving the equations. Okay, from the mathematical point of view, the boundary conditions are actually important because those are actually the conditions which are actually helpful for us to find the constants while solving the equation. Okay, so we need as many number of conditions which is actually equal to the order of the system in that particular coordinate system. Okay. And also, since our basic equation is actually first order derivative in time, we need one condition for we need only one condition for this in if, one condition in time also. Okay, and we must be actually sure that there shouldn't be actually more than two conditions also in each coordinate. Okay, so if it is actually more than two conditions in each coordinate, then it should be actually consistent also. Okay? If you are actually simply if you are actually making a problem or something, if you are actually giving more than two conditions and if it is actually not matching with each other, then obviously your system will not be actually behaving properly. Yeah, from a physical point of view also, the solutions are actually required because the equations or the temperature variation inside as it is actually just the basic equation, but that is actually governed or that is actually being formed due to the conditions that are actually happening at the surfaces, because whatever the conditions at the surfaces, they are actually diffused into the system, and that's what actually forms the temperature profiles within. Yeah. Yeah, then we are actually seeing three different. What is first is actually the constant surface temperature, which we are actually seeing the temperature itself on the surface is actually mentioned. It is actually known as a distillate condition or BC of first unit. And second one is actually the constant heat surface first condition. So in this case, we are actually mentioning the heat flux at the boundary. Okay, this heat flux also it can be actually function of time itself. Okay, it doesn't actually matter, and also it can be actually function of y means since it is a 1D system, we are not that much interested or we are not seeing its actually variation. Okay, so if it is actually 2D system, it can be actually function of y also. It is there is actually no rule that it should be actually constant. Only that we are actually mentioning the heat flux directly at the surface. That's it. And we are using the energy balance. So heat flux as it is actually of no useful for us until and unless we can actually equate it to the temperature profile somehow. So how we are actually matching the temperature profile? We are actually saying that it is actually the the heat flux is equivalent to the or it is equal to minus k into the slope of the temperature profile at x is equal to 0. And we said a special condition of this one where it is actually or the surface is actually insulated. So that means there is no heat flux. In that condition, the gradient or the slope is actually going to be zero at the boundary condition. And third one is actually the convection surface condition. So in which case, instead of heat flux, we are actually directly giving the H as well as the T infinity, heat transfer coefficient as well as the T infinity. Again, doing the energy balance, we can actually see that heat convected in should be actually heat conducted into the surface. So where H is equal to T infinity minus Ts, it is equal to minus K dt by dx. But here again, this Ts is also an unknown, unknown. So we need to actually do our calculations based on that. And the one condition which is actually for the time, it is actually known as the initial condition. What happens or what was actually the situation or what is actually the condition of the mainly the temperature condition of the medium before the temperature variation begins. Okay. So that is actually the initial condition. And therefore, we can actually see that we can actually use this particular condition while solving it because there is actually one constant associated with the time term. So we can actually find that constant using the particular condition. Okay. Yeah. So any doubts still here? So there is actually one more thing that we have to actually see is for the conditions for conditions 2 and 3 conditions or constant surface heat flux and convective boundary condition we can actually here. So here in both these cases the constant heat flux as well as the convective boundary condition, what we were actually writing is heat flux at the surface, heat flux or heat conducted in at the surface is equal to heat conducted at the surface. Okay, Is there any term that we are actually missing over here? We are actually saying if you are actually keeping at this surface, heat conducted in is equal to heat converted. So, are there any terms which we are actually missing in these energy terms? What is actually the term that we are actually missing from the energy equation? What
Heat
are the yeah,
heat generation.
heat generation? Very good. And one more term is there, heat
Stored.
store. Yeah, store terms. Very good. So for the conditions, we are actually not considering this heat generation and the heat conversion. Why? Because what we are actually saying is that um for the conditions 2 and 3, the E generated and E stored are not considered. Okay, so that's what we are actually saying. Why? Because we are actually saying the surface, it is actually not having any mass at all. Okay, so that's what we are actually inherently saying. So this heat generation as well as heat storage, it can be actually done only if there is actually mass or there is actually the volume. So we are actually saying that there is actually no mass associated with the surface. Okay, so therefore there is actually no um, therefore there is actually no heat generation or heat store. Okay, because the four condition are constant surface heat flux and convective boundary condition, heat generator and heat store are not considered. Okay, which inherently says that which inherently says that says that uh, surface has no mass. Okay, surface has no mass. Okay, so that is actually the meaning for that. Okay, yeah. So we can actually see one practical condition also. Suppose if you are having a system, just to consider a 2D system. Okay, just consider the 2D system. So this is actually we can actually say in some condition such that we can actually say on one side, okay, on one side of a system, we are having some insulation. Okay, we are having some insulation on one side. We are actually saying this is actually insulation. Okay, we can actually say example for boundary conditions. It is having say a insulation on one side. Okay, and maybe on the other side this is just a system means it is actually not working. We are actually saying some it is having some heater electric heater on the other side, it is not working at all. It is just a system that we are actually making. So we can actually say this is actually electric heater electric heater. Okay, and maybe on the top of this we are having some baker or something. Okay, so into the baker we can actually put some melting ice or something like that. Okay, we are actually saying this is actually melting ice. Okay, so excuse me, 1 minute. Yeah, I'm sorry for that. Yeah, so we are having some melting ice or something, and we can actually say this is actually this on this side, this is actually open to ambient. Okay, yeah. So everything is actually okay for now. Yeah, so the moment we are actually going to, yeah, initially we can actually say is that here, or we can actually say this is not melting ice, this is actually some beaker for that. Okay, just a pan for putting the ice, that's it. Okay, so this is just a pan for putting the eggs. We haven't actually put anything in that. Okay? So therefore, we can actually say that the condition this is actually open to one side is actually open to the ambient and so what do you think actually the temperature of the system? It will be actually equal to the temperature of the ambient itself. Okay. Now, the moment you are actually switching on the heater, and on this side, okay, on this side you are actually switching on the heater, and on this side when you are actually putting the melting ice, then you can actually see that there is actually going to be temperature gradients. Okay, so that moment is actually known as T is equal to 0. We can actually say. Okay, so at that moment, but the system was actually having the ambient temperature. Okay. So therefore, we can actually give this one as means once all these systems are actually going to be happening, we can actually see what kind of boundary conditions we can actually give. Okay, we can actually see what are actually the boundary conditions we can give. On the bottom, what kind of condition we can actually give? We are having a electric heater. What is actually the condition that we can actually give? Out of these three boundary conditions, what is actually the boundary condition? This is constant temperature condition, is it?
No, sir. Heat surface flux.
Yeah, very good. So on this side, we can actually give heat surface. On this side, what is actually the condition? We are having a insulation. If it is insulation, we were actually saying this is actually the condition Qs is equal to 0, which is equal to dou T by dou X. Okay, so that is actually the condition we can give it over here. And what is actually the condition over here?
Constant surface temperature.
Yeah, very good. Constant temperature condition. And on this side, we can actually give the condition. It is open to the ambient. So we can actually say TH, H as well as T infinity. Okay. There is one more condition which is actually needed, which is equal to T at any X or any Y at T is equal to 0 is equal to T ambient. Okay. So T X Y T is equal to 0 means at any X, if you are actually taking this part or this part or this part, at any X or any Y at T is equal to 0, that means the initial condition, the temperature in the system was T ambient. Okay. So therefore we can actually write, this is equal to X is equal to X, Y is equal to 0 here. And this point it is X is equal to L, Y is equal to 0. And at this point it is X is equal to 0, Y is equal to, we can actually say H. And at this point, X is equal to L, Y is equal to H. So therefore we can actually write at X is equal to 0. So that means, or we can actually say at Y is equal to 0. Y is equal to 0 means this phase. Okay, so this phase that is equal to Y is equal to 0. At Y is equal to 0, we can actually say Qs is equal to minus K dou T by dou Y. Okay, here also we can actually say Y is equal to 0. Heat flux if we are actually given. And what happens at Y is equal to H? At Y is equal to H, T is equal to Ts. Okay. And at X is equal to 0, which is actually the phase X is equal to 0, this phase. Okay. So this phase is actually the X is equal to 0. At X is equal to 0, dou T by dou X at X is equal to 0 equal to 0. And at X is equal to L, H into Ts, or we can actually say TL. Okay, TL minus T infinity is equal to minus K dou T by dou X. So in this case, the heat flux is actually going out, right? So, but in the first condition, heat flux was actually going up. So that's why we were actually written dou T by dou Y. So in this condition, heat flux is actually going in the X direction. So we have to write dou T by dou X at X is equal to L is equal to, yeah, that's it. Okay. Yeah. So this is actually the 4 different boundary conditions, and also we can actually see at uh, at t is equal to 0, t x y t is equal to 0 equal to t amp. Okay, so these are actually the five conditions you must be actually using for solving. Because here you can see this is actually two-dimensional conduction we are actually talking about. So it is actually second order in x and y, and first order in time t. Okay, so two conditions in x, two conditions in y, and one condition in time. Okay, so if you have these, then you can actually solve this equation. Anyway, we are not going for 2D conduction in this particular course, because 2D conduction is bit involved. It is just uh, you need some mathematical techniques like separation of variable and all. Anyway, we are not going to solve this 2D conduction in this. I'm actually not sure whether in textbook also. I think in textbooks in Incorpora and all it is actually given. If you are interested, we can go through that. If you have any doubts, you ask me. We can actually discuss. But as far as the course is concerned, we are actually not going into details for the solution of the 2D conduction. But still, yeah. So if you are actually going for, then you need this kind of boundary conditions. Okay. So any doubts in this till this section, till the equations as well as the boundary conditions? Because once you actually understand this, then it is actually going to be easy for the further understanding. Okay. Okay, so assume everything is actually clear now. So because now we are actually going to see more into the solution type, or we are now going to more into the physics. Okay, yeah. So till now we were actually seeing the basic governing equations, whether it is a Cartesian, cylindrical, or spherical coordinate system, and we also saw the boundary condition as well as the initial condition. So now we are actually equipped with all the things which is actually needed for finding the temperature profiles itself. Because we were actually saying that our ultimate aim is to actually find the temperature profiles. It's not just that with this governing equation, there is nothing we can actually do. Okay, we need to actually go for this kind of solutions. We need to actually find what is actually the temperature variations inside. That is actually always going to be the important thing. And again, yeah, and we were actually saying, yeah, here you can actually see we were actually talking about the conditions and all. But these problems will be actually going to be very much complicated if we are going to have some radiation also over here. Okay, and maybe the heat is actually going to be varying with the time, or in some place it is actually going to be edge, and some place it is actually going to be radiation. So there are a different type of problems we are going to face. Okay, so those things are actually easy for us when we are actually considering in the 1D conduction, which we are actually using seeing in our particular course. But if it is actually going to be a 2D conduction, or if it is actually going to be 3D conduction with different boundary conditions and all, the analytical solutions is actually going to be very difficult. Okay, so that's where this kind of computational fluid dynamics or computational heat transfer is actually comes into handy. Okay, so therefore, yeah, obviously, whatever the analytically we can actually solve, people have actually already solved. Okay, so therefore, what is actually more important in today's days is actually the computational calculations. Okay, but yeah, so that is actually what this CFD, computational fluid dynamics. Even though we are actually talking about the fluid dynamics, we will be actually dealing with this heat transfer also, computational heat transfer also. Okay, it is actually inherently a part of that. Yeah. So yeah, so that is actually the new trend. But still, what happens is that it is actually of no use if you are actually not understanding the basic or underlying phenomena. Okay, so this these solutions, it will not actually make any sense at all if you are actually not if you do not appreciate what is actually happening with it. Okay, so that's why we are actually in our course we are actually going to see the simple cases in which we can actually solve these equations. Okay, So that actually gives us a not simply the idea of how to solve this. That also gives us an idea of what is actually happening when the conduction is actually taking place. Okay. So basically, we are actually going to study based on a one-day conduction, but we can easily extend it to 2D as well as the 3D conductions. Okay. So if you are actually solving this one-day conduction for different conditions, then you will get a feel of what is actually happening within a body. Okay. So after understanding that, then you are actually going to do some numerical calculation. Then you will be actually able to appreciate what is actually happening. Okay. So that's why even though computational things are actually still very relevant, why we are actually going for this numerical or analytical solutions is that that actually gives us the real feel of the physical phenomena. Okay. Yeah. So that's what we are actually going to do from today's class. First, we will actually see take the Cartesian system, and we will actually solve various problems at various conditions. Then we will actually go to the cylindrical system. We will do the same, and then we will actually go to the spherical system. We will do the same. Okay? And then we will actually see the practical situations like a fin and a transient, all the. Okay, so that is actually the way we will actually proceed. So now we are actually going to the see the next module, which is actually the 1D conduction problem. Okay. But here again, we are actually differentiating the 1D conduction into steady as well as unsteady. We are actually taking it as a two chapters. Okay, because solving the unsteady is actually again bit more involved because there is actually one variable in the coordinate and there is actually one variable in time. So it's actually its the evolutions or its derivations or its solutions are actually a bit more involved. So first we are actually going to see the simplest one, then we actually increase our complexity. So therefore, now initially we are actually going to see a steady state 1D heat condition, and obviously the simplest one is actually the Cartesian system. Steady state, we are actually going to see steady state 1D heat conduction, 1D heat conduction in Cartesian system. Cartesian system. Okay, which is actually the simplest of all. So we will get a feel for how we are actually solving the equations and all. Then we can actually increase the complexity. Okay. Yeah. So before moving further, we need to actually look into our basic equation again once more. Which was our basic? Yeah, this is our basic equation, right? Our basic equation. It was actually saying. Okay, we can just write it again. So which was our heat diffusion equation? General heat diffusion equation. General heat diffusion equation. It was actually saying dou by dou x of k into dou t by dou x plus dou by dou y of k into dou t by dou y plus dou by dou z of k into dou t by dou z plus heat generated is equal to rho Cp dou t by dou t. Okay, so this was our very general heat diffusion equation. So now we are actually going to simplify this equation because there are actually many conditions that are actually going to happen. Okay? The first one which we are actually already shown is isotropic material. Okay, for isotropic material, what was actually that we actually derived? We actually said dou square t by dou x square plus dou square t by dou y square plus dou square t by dou z square plus q by k is equal to 1 by alpha, right? So 1 by alpha dou t by dou t. So this is actually the first simplification which we actually saw. Okay? And this equation, it is actually known as Fourier-Biot equation. Fourier-Biot equation. So another simplification that we can actually use is, yeah, now we are actually considering everything for isotropic condition only. Okay? So because that is actually what the general condition is. So for isotropic material, but with no heat generation. Okay, isotropic with no heat generation. Heat generation. Okay. So in that case, we can see the heat generation terms actually vanishes. Okay. So we can actually write dou square T by dou x square plus uh, dou square T by dou y square plus dou square T by dou z square. There is no heat generation term is equal to 1 by alpha dou T by dou T. Okay. So here we can actually see that only heat diffusion is actually there. This generation is actually not going to be there. So therefore, this term is or this particular equation is actually known as diffusion equation. Diffusion equation. Okay. So we will see the equation when we are actually talking about the transient conditions. So the next condition is if we are actually having the steady state. Okay, but heat generation is actually still there. Isotropic with isotropic steady state condition. Steady state. Okay. With heat generation. With heat generation. So in this case, we can see dou square T by dou x square plus dou square T by dou y square plus dou square T by dou z square plus Q by K is equal to 0 because there is no heat generation or yeah, a steady state. That means the temperature is actually not varying with the time. So this particular term goes to 0. Okay, this particular term goes to 0 in the steady state. So this equation is actually known as Poisson equation. Poisson equation. Okay. And last one is actually the most uh, easiest one, which is actually the steady state with basically isotropic. Isotropic steady state without heat generation. Without heat generation. Okay. So we can actually write dou square T by dou x square plus dou square T by dou y square plus dou square T by dou z square is equal to 0. So this equation is actually known as Laplace equation. Okay. Yeah. So this is actually the simplest kind of thing. And these are actually the various ways in which we can actually change our basic governing equation. Okay. Yeah. So so if you are actually going for a if you're actually going for a 1D system, then what happens? So for 1D heat equation, which is steady, which is steady, or we can actually say which is unsteady, which is unsteady with heat generation. With heat generation. Okay. So this is actually the toughest one that we will actually see. 1D heat equation, which is steady with heat generation. So that we can actually write is also, or basically the isotropic we will be actually seeing dou square T by dou x square plus Q by K is equal to 1 by alpha dou T by dou T. Okay. So this is actually the toughest one that we will actually see. And for 1D, steady without heat generation. Without heat generation. Okay. So how what is actually, can anyone say what is actually this equation? Unsteady or steady without heat generation. Okay. We have to actually simplify this particular equation, or we have to simplify this from this itself. We can actually see. Okay. So can anyone say what will be actually the equation? How many terms will actually come?
Only one term.
Only one
Yeah.
term.
Can you say which term?
Dou square
Dou
T
square
upon dou x.
T by dou x square equal to 0.
Yeah, dou square T by dou x square is equal to 0. Do we have to write dou or D? Can we write D here?
Yes, sir, we can write it as D
Yeah,
because there is only one.
it is actually only one. It is actually only one. T is actually function only of T. So can we actually write dt in this equation, the above equation?
Yes, sir.
No,
Yes,
sir.
sir, we can write.
No, we cannot write
There is a
because T is
temperature
actually
function,
function
time
of
function.
x as well as time. Okay,
Yes.
so that's why we actually write dou. So, but if you are having a 1D steady equation, temperature is actually function only of x. So therefore, we can actually write D. Okay, very good. So this is actually the simplest one we will actually see, and this is actually the toughest one. What we will actually see in our particular course. Okay, yeah, yeah. So that's what we will be. That is actually going to our starting point now. Okay, and also we can actually write that 1D means. Okay, so therefore we can say that 1D means temperature gradient exit, temperature gradient exist only in one direction, only in one direction. Okay, and even though it is actually a very simplified system, but many of the practical systems are actually like this. Okay? So for example, the heat transfer through your room, okay, in a hot day, you can actually feel the heat transfer because the heat is actually transferring through the walls of your house into your room. Okay, and since the conductivity of system or your wall is actually very less, there is actually hardly any heat transfer along the wall in the up direction or in the cross direction. So mostly heat transfer in the thickness only happen. Okay, so that is actually a very good example. And also the heat exchangers. So there is actually this flow through. Yeah, that we will actually see. So there is actually some heat exchangers we will be actually seeing flow through pipes and all. So in that cases, this heat transfer is again 1D, but it is in a cylindrical coordinate system. So even though this is actually very simplified form, still it is having so much of applications. Okay, so even though it is very simple, it is having so much of application. So we will actually see some of those applications obviously, but we will actually start our equations with very simplified forms. Okay, yeah. So that's what we are actually going to see now. First, we will actually see, as we said, without heat generation. Okay, without heat generation. That's what we are actually going to see now. So initially we said d square t by dx square is equal to 0. And as we were actually saying, we have nothing to do with this kind of equations. So what we actually want is t as a function of x, we need to actually see. That is actually going to be our aim. We want to actually see how the temperature profile actually looks like. With this equation, we have nothing to do. So we want to see how the temperature is actually varying with x. We said t is actually only a function of x, but how it is actually varying. So that's what we are actually going to see now. So for that, first we are actually considering, let's say, a plain wall or a plain slab or something like that. Okay. We can just consider this. First, we can actually consider a 2D wall or a 3D wall. We can actually consider for now. We will actually see why we are actually considering. Okay. Obviously, we can write this is equal to x is equal to 0, and this is actually the point x is equal to L. As we were actually saying, the temperature heat flux is actually only in this direction. Okay. Yeah, we can actually give these sides also. Yeah, the Q is actually coming in, okay, and Q is actually going out. So only in the x direction it is actually going to be. And what we are actually saying is that at x is equal to 0, the surface temperature is T1, and x is equal to L, the surface temperature is actually T2. So what we are actually going to do is we are just going to draw two more planes in this particular thing. Okay? Simply two more planes along the surface. Okay? If you see, so this is actually one plane in the slab, and this plane is actually perpendicular to the direction of heat flux. So this we can actually call it as a plane 1, and maybe one more plane. Maybe this color we can actually do. Yeah. So one more plane we are actually taking. Okay. Okay. So this is actually P2, plane 2. Okay. Yeah. So just we actually just took some plane 1 and plane 2. So here we are actually saying heat flux is actually in one direction. And what does that actually mean? That's what we are actually going to see. So this is actually a plane wall. Plane wall. Something is actually there. Let me close it and open it. Plane wall with width W, width L, yeah, width L. Okay, so that is actually what we are actually considering, and also we are actually saying the temperature gradient considered only in x direction. Gradient considered only in x direction. Only in x direction. Okay. So so only in x direction means what? Okay. If it is only in x direction, so that means any plane perpendicular to x direction, any plane perpendicular to x direction, for example p1 and p2, they are actually planes on this surface or on this medium perpendicular to the x direction. Any plane perpendicular to x direction must be having the same temperature throughout. That is actually what we mean. The x is actually heat transfer or the temperature gradient only in x direction, right? So any plane should be having same temperature throughout. So any plane perpendicular to x direction should be having same temperature throughout. Same temperature throughout. Okay. So that means the planes P1 and P2 should be having constant temperature we can actually say TP1 and TP2 respectively. Okay. So that means any plane, there is actually no gradient with respect to any other directions. Okay, so any plane which is actually perpendicular to that should be having the same temperature. So yeah, if you're actually making it to a 2D figure, Okay, if you are actually making this 3D figure to a 2D figure, then we can actually write it like this. Okay, we can actually draw it like this. So here x is equal to 0 and x is equal to L. At x is equal to 0, temperature is actually T1. X is equal to L, temperature is actually T2. We are actually saying, okay, heat flux is actually passing like this. Okay, Q is actually passing like this. And if you are actually seeing these planes, this is actually P1, which is actually at a temperature TP1. We are actually saying, okay, and we are having this plane P2, which is actually at a temperature TP2. Okay, so what we are actually saying is now this TP1 as well as TP2, we can actually see that it is actually the constant temperature throughout in a perpendicular direction. Okay, so such a what we can actually say imaginary line which actually connects that constant temperatures, it is actually known as a isotherm. Okay? Isotherm is actually an imaginary line which actually connects all the points having the same temperature. Okay, so isotherm is actually isotherm, okay, an imaginary line, we can actually say imaginary line connecting locations of same temperature, okay. Yeah. So in a 2D, for a 1D dimensional, obviously this isotherm should be actually perpendicular to that, because otherwise, just take an example for this. Okay? Okay. Suppose if you are actually saying heat flux is actually happening like this, but if you are actually saying an isotherm is actually like this, so what does that actually mean? So that means there is actually temperature gradient both in x direction as well as there is actually temperature gradient in y direction, because if you take at this particular location, so this T y1 y2 is actually going to be less different than that of Ty1, right? So there is actually going to be a heat flux in this direction also. So therefore, for a 1D conduction, so for a 1D conduction, so therefore this heat flux or the isotherm should be actually perpendicular to that of perpendicular to that of x direction. Okay. So in other way, what we can actually say is, the heat flux is always perpendicular. Heat flux is always transferred perpendicular to isotherm, perpendicular or normal to isotherm. Okay, so that is actually the main catch over here. Okay. I don't think we actually talked about this, so that's why I'm just emphasizing this term. The heat flux is always transferred perpendicular to the isotherm. We said that previously the heat flux is actually a vector quantity, and we said it's a quantity we can actually write as a k minus k dt by dx. But what is actually its direction? The direction of heat flux is always perpendicular to the isotherm. So because in this case, what is actually the direction? Its direction is in x direction. And if it is a 2D conduction, or then suppose the heat flux as we actually discussed earlier, if this is actually an isotherm, okay, so this is actually an isotherm, and this is actually the x direction, and this is actually the y direction. So that means the heat flux is actually going to be perpendicular to the isotherms Q. Okay, so this is actually T1, this is actually T2, and this is actually T3 like this. The heat flux is actually going to be perpendicular to these isotherms. So therefore, since it is actually passing like this, there is actually having a quantity in the x direction and there is a quantity in y direction. Okay, so the direction of heat flux is always perpendicular to the isotherms. Is that clear? Yeah. Uh, yeah. So therefore, that is actually one thing that we can actually see from this particular equation. I should have actually talked about when we were actually talking about the heat flux itself. Heat flux as a vector quantity, but it may not be that much. You may not have actually able to appreciate it when we actually talked about that then itself. Now I actually assume you could actually appreciate what is actually this isotherm and what is actually the importance for that. Okay. Yeah. So as we are actually saying, ours is actually a 1D conduction, and there is actually no heat generation. And now we are actually assume isotropic material. Isotropic material. Okay. Isotropic material we are actually going to be assuming. So therefore, we can actually see that. Therefore, governing equation reduces to d square t by dx square is equal to 0. Okay. So that is actually our basic equation for that. And what are actually the boundary conditions? Can anyone say what are the boundary conditions? At x is equal to 0, x is equal to 0, t is equal to t1. At y is and x is equal to L, t is equal to t2. Okay. So any other boundary conditions needed? We don't need any other boundary.
No, sir.
Yeah, very good. So now we are actually going to find. Now we are going to find t as a function of x. Okay. So now we are actually going to see how the temperature is actually varying like this. Okay. So whether it is actually like this, whether it is actually like this, whether it is actually like this, we don't know what it is. So that's what we are actually going to see for now. What is actually the variation of temperature with respect to x? Okay. So after the equation, we will actually see what is actually this x going to. Okay. How can we actually solve this equation?
We can integrate and then put the constants.
Yeah, very good.
We can implement these conditions
Can you,
and
can you actually integrate it for me?
get the
Can
constant.
anyone? T is equal to
Yes, sir. Wait, yes.
T is equal to integrate
C1.
twice. Yeah, we have to integrate twice. Okay, or we can actually start from the beginning itself. Okay. So we can first integrate, then you will get dt by dx is equal to C1. We can actually say. Okay, integrate once. Okay, so and if you are actually integrating again, integrate twice, you will get t is equal to C1x
C1x plus C2.
C2. Yeah. So this is actually the profile that we actually want. Okay. So this is actually the profile that we are actually going to need. Yeah. So now we have to actually solve. We need to actually find what is actually C1 and we need to find what is actually C2. Okay. So now we are actually going to do this. Put x is equal to 0 in equation 11. Okay. Equation 11 is actually, we are actually giving the same number system for full course. So this is actually going to be equation 11. Okay. Put x is equal to 0 in equation 11. We are actually going to get x is equal to 0 means, so at x is equal to 0, t is equal to t1, right? So this t is equal to t1 is equal to c1 into 0 plus c2. We are putting x is equal to 0. Is that clear? You have to simply put the conditions according to that. Okay. So that actually gives us c2 is equal to t1. Okay. We got the first constant now. Okay. C2 we actually got. In order to find what is actually C1, we have to put the second one. So now put x is equal to L in 11. Okay. If you're actually putting x is equal to L, what happens? T becomes T2 is equal to C1 into L plus C2. What is actually C2? Ct is equal to T1. Okay. So from this, we will again get C1 is equal to T2 minus T1 divided by yeah, T2 minus T1 divided by L. So now we got our both our constants. So now put both these constants into the equation. Then we will actually get T is equal to T2 minus T1 by L. This is actually C1 into X, because our equation is T is equal to C1X plus C2. So this is actually the C1 into X, because we are having into X, plus T1. So that is actually our basic equation. That is actually our solution. We can just modify it a little bit, or we can actually write as it is also. Yeah. So here, if we are actually assuming T2, if okay, if T2 is actually going to be less than T1, if we actually know, because these are actually the conditions we are actually giving, we can also write T1 uh, minus T1 minus T2 by L into X. Okay, so that is also you can actually write. Yeah, so therefore from here you can actually find what is actually the constants going to be. So just put your condition first. Okay, just see whether your equations are actually true. At x is equal to 0, what happens? At x is equal to 0, t is equal to t1. You are putting into the equation. Okay, so t is equal to t1 plus t1 minus t2. Maybe we can actually keep this as actually 12. Okay. At x is equal to 0, again this term is actually going to be 0. Then you can actually write t is equal to t1. At x is equal to L, both these terms are actually going to be cancelling. T1 minus T1 plus T2. Okay, so therefore again t is equal to T2 you will actually get. Okay. So our condition is also going to be satisfied with this equation. So therefore we can see that this is actually the equation that we are actually talking about. Okay. So from here,
Excuse me, sir.
yes.
So that means this equation is material independent, sir. Means whatever material we will use and do this analysis, it will be the same.
Yeah, whatever the material it is there, it is actually going to be same, because we are actually saying what is actually T1 and T2. Okay, if you are actually giving some heat flux and all, then there is actually going to be difference. Okay, if you are actually giving heat flux, then this K into dou T by dou X or dt by dx comes into picture. Okay, but here it doesn't actually matter, because we are not talking about any heat flux over here. We are just saying the temperature is actually this one, and the temperature on both the surfaces are actually going to be this much. Okay, so since we are actually saying like that, then it is actually going to be a temperature, and it is actually going to be a material independent. Yeah, very good observation you have actually made. Are you convinced?
Sir, but T1 minus T2 by L is also can be treated as the material constant, sir. Can be treated.
No, we cannot actually say. Yeah, I will actually give you. I actually understand your confusion. Okay, so here, okay, so what we are actually saying is, say this is actually material 1, and this is actually material 2. Okay, this is actually material 2. So having the same length. Okay, it is both is having the same length. And for this material 1, we are actually saying on the surface T1 is there, on surface T2 is actually there. Likewise for material 2 also we are saying the same temperatures T1 and T2 are actually going to be there. Okay, so in that case, does it matter which material? So we are actually going to get the same temperature profile, because we have actually said same temperatures are actually going to be there here and there. Okay, yeah, but what happens is that now we will actually going to see, suppose, okay, or you can actually see that, but the issue is that if you are actually going to calculate the heat flux, okay, if you are actually going to calculate the heat flux, then Q is equal to K into dt by dx. minus k into dt by dx. Okay, so here you can actually see that both the materials having the same slope. Okay, this dt by dx is actually going to be same for material 1 and material 2, but the conductivity is actually going to be different. So therefore the heat flux through the both the materials are actually going to be different. Understand now? So when we are
Yes.
actually talking about the heat flux, there it is actually going to be different. Okay. But here we haven't actually talked anything about the heat or material or something. We directly give the temperature itself. Okay, so that's what I said. It is actually the simplest form of temperature profile. So simplest form of boundary conditions. Okay, yeah, yeah, very good. It was actually very good observation. We are actually going to see that the heat flux now. Okay. So actually, I didn't have to run this. Yeah, from this, can anyone say what kind of heat flux or what kind of equation this is actually going to be? Okay, so this is actually an equation for straight line, because we can actually see this is actually equivalent to y is equal to mx plus c, where c is actually the y-intercept. Okay, c is t1 in this condition. Okay, and m is t1 minus t2 by l. Okay, minus of t1 minus t2 by l. So if you actually write, so in the x direction, how the profile is actually going to be in the x direction? Y-intercept is t1. Okay, at x is equal to 0, y-intercept is t1. And what is actually the slope? Slope is actually negative. That means it is actually decreasing. Okay, and it is actually the slope is such that t1 minus t2 divided by l. Okay, and at x is equal to l, what is actually the value? It is actually going to be t2. Here we can actually say t2. So therefore we can actually see it is actually a straight line which is actually coming. Okay. So that is actually the profile of the system, or profile of the material profile, temperature profile within that 1D condition, 1D condition. Okay, so therefore we can actually say temperature varies linearly with x. Linearly with x. Okay. So this is actually known as linear temperature profile, LTP, linear temperature profile. Okay. Yeah. So this is actually now I assume you actually got the understanding of what is actually happening. But so this is actually the temperature varying throughout. But one more time, which is actually important, is actually the heat flux. Okay, so that's what we are actually going to find now. Heat flux K is equal to minus K dt by dx, not dou t by dou x, dt by dx. But what is actually dt by dx? Dt by dx is C1, okay, which is equal to minus K into C1. Okay. We can actually see that this is actually independent of x itself. Okay, the heat flux, heat transfer from this itself, we can see that heat flux is independent of x. Okay, so that means heat flux is actually going to be same throughout. Okay, so whatever the heat coming in is equal to the heat going out. Okay, that is actually from the energy equation also we are actually getting that. Since there is no energy equation, or since there is actually no energy generation or energy storage, whatever the temperature at any particular location, it should actually go out. Okay, for example, if you actually take a small control volume itself is actually over here. Okay, so if heat is actually going in, that heat should actually go out, and the same flux as another control volume, if you are actually taking over here, the same amount of heat flux is actually coming in, and same amount of heat flux is actually going out. Okay, yeah. So that's what it actually means, that heat flux is actually independent of x. That's what we are actually going to see now. But we actually said C1. What is actually C1 again? C1 is equal to T2 minus T1. Where is C1? Yeah, T2 minus T1 divided by L. Okay. So we are actually putting this negative term again. So we can actually say T1 minus T2 divided by L. Okay. Yeah. So that is actually the heat flux through the system. If you want to see what is actually the total heat flux, okay, total heat is K, which is equal to K into A into T1 minus T2 divided by L. Okay. So this actually makes sense also. This is, since it is actually a linear profile, at any point, whatever we actually take, the difference divided by distance, it is actually going to give the gradient also. Right. So that's what we have actually written over here. U is equal to Ka T1 minus T2 divided by L. Okay. Is it clear till here? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Very good.
Yes, sir.
So this is how we are actually solving any equations. Okay. So we will actually find the basic governing equations to its basic form. Okay, we are finding its governing equation to its simplest form, and then we have our conditions, and then we will actually integrate it, since it is actually a 1D conduction, or it is actually 1D system with very homogeneous conditions and all. We can simply integrate it, and then we will actually try to find the constants. The same philosophy we will actually use for 2D conditions also, as well as the transient condition. So only in those conditions, in order to find this particular equation, okay, so in order to find T is equal to C1 plus C2, that is actually going to be very tricky. Okay, if you are actually going for a 2D conduction, steady state 2D conduction without heat generation, then you have to actually go for some variables, a separation of variable, like some other techniques we will actually use, and then we will actually come up with this particular equation. And if it is actually a transient condition, then again we will actually use some simplified forms we will actually see. Okay, so either we can actually use some Laplace variations, or we can actually go for some other simplifications like semi-infinite solid. Some kind of techniques we will actually use, and we will actually try to come up with this particular. Obviously, the forms will be actually different in that cases, but we are actually always trying to write t as a function of x, y, z, and t, temperature, time, etc. So once we actually write that, then applying the boundary condition is actually going to be easy. Okay. So always the trick is to find this particular temperature, this profile of temperature, basic form of profile of temperature. That's where all the trick is. Okay. Yeah. So once you actually understand this one, so now we are actually going to do something, something that actually makes this 1D conduction much easier. Okay, which is actually going to be thermal resistance concept. Thermal resistance. Okay, we will see what is actually thermal resistance and why it is actually very easy in a 2D condition, 1D condition. We will actually see. Okay. Yeah, we can write this basic equation as 30. Where is that equation? Okay. Which equation? Yeah. So this one we can actually write as 30. Okay. So 13, we were actually writing Q is equal to Ka T1 minus T2 divided by L. Okay. So these equations were actually derived by very great minds, okay, in the 18th century or 19th century, or even 18th century, 19th century. Many people were actually doing it. Okay. So at that time, what happens is that so even a same person, he's actually is a very expert in various other streams also. For example, somebody might be actually very expert in electronics. At that time, obviously, electrons were actually not there. electric system and mechanical also, somebody might be actually very good at. Okay? So someone who is actually very expert in electrical system, he was actually looking into this, and he actually rewrote this equation like this. Okay? He actually wrote it T1 minus T2 divided by L by Ka. Okay, and why he actually rewrote it like this is because this form, it is actually very similar to him from an electrical analogy. Okay, so what he is actually says is this one, this is actually analogous to electrical system. Okay, so this is analogous to electrical system, he says, electrical system. Okay, and he actually wrote it, the current I is equal to V by R, that we actually know from the Ohm's law. But V is actually the potential difference. Okay? V can be also written as E1 minus E2, which is actually the difference in potential at two different systems. Okay, for example here. Okay, so this is actually an electrical system, just a resistance. Okay, and if this is actually E1 and E2, and it is actually passing some current through it. Okay? So he actually wrote it like by R. But resistance, the total resistance of the system, that we can again write it like the length of the resistance divided by the conductivity or electric conductivity into cross-section area. Okay, so that's what he actually wrote, where sigma is electric conductivity, which is equal to 1 by O. Okay, 1 by O. It is equivalent to 1 by of electric resistivity. Okay? So resistivity is actually given as it is equal to 1 by rho. So rho is actually the resistivity of the system. So therefore, its total unit is actually going to be 1 by O. Okay. So anyway, so we can actually see that this is actually analogous to this electric system. Okay. So therefore, here we can actually see that Q is analogous to current I, and delta T is analogous to voltage stroke V. Okay, and resistance, okay, R, whatever we actually talked about, is analogous to, or we can actually say L by Ka. L by Ka analogous to electric resistance. We can say. Okay, so therefore here you can actually see that L by Ka, that particular term, it acts like a resistance but in a thermal form. Okay, so that is where we are actually getting the term thermal resistance. Okay, so therefore we can actually say that thermal resistance for conduction is equal to, okay, from this basic equation. We have to actually take it over here, okay, take it over here and take it down. Okay, we can actually write a resistance for conduction, which is equal to L by Ka is equal to T1 minus T2 divided by Q due to conduction. Okay, so this is actually kind of a thermal resistance where the resistance is actually going to be L by Ka, okay, and it is having the potential at one surface it is T1 and other surface it is actually T2. Okay, and what is actually passing? The current or heat flux is actually passing through the system. Okay, so this equation we can actually give us for this. So is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So therefore, if you actually see that slab, if you are actually revisit that slab again, we are actually going to revisit that slab again. We know T1, we know T2. We are actually saying its length is actually L, its conductivity is actually K, and it is having a cross-sectional area of A. Okay. So here, what we were actually doing, we were actually finding its a basic equation, d square by dt square is equal to 0, and then we were actually applying the boundary conditions. All those things we were actually applying. Okay, and after that we actually later come up with this equation. But here you can actually see that directly itself we can actually write q is equal to t1 minus t2, which is actually the potential divided by L by Ka. Okay. With this analogy, we can actually directly find what is actually the heat flux through the system. Okay. So, but the issue is that again we are actually talking about the 1D conduction. Okay? And again, there is no heat generation and there is no heat storage. Okay? So obviously, we can actually put a 2D conduction. We can actually have one more a connection or something. And then if it is there is actually going to be heat generation, maybe we can actually put a battery. And if it is a heat storage, maybe we can actually put a capacitance on. Then again, the analysis or the analysis or the getting the solution again going to be very difficult. Okay. So therefore, usually this analogy, the electric analogy, we will actually restrict ourselves to the 1D conduction without heat generation, or 1D steady conduction without heat generation. Yeah, without heat generation and without energy storage. Okay. We usually restrict for this 1D conduction for that. Okay. So, but still, it is actually of a very useful tool for finding the equation. Okay. Again, we have actually said this is actually for conduction. Obviously, there is actually for convection also this kind of resistance is going to be there. The same equation we can actually use. T1 minus T2 divided by Q convection. Okay, so what is actually Q convection? Q is equal to HA T1 minus T2. Okay, where T1 is actually the surface temperature, T1 is equal to Ts, and T2 is equal to T ambient. Okay, in that condition. Or we can actually write T say Ts minus T infinity. Okay, T ambient or T infinity, okay, which is equal to, can you actually say, can anyone say T1 minus or Ts minus T infinity by Q is equal to 1 by HA. Okay. So that is actually the resistance for convection. We will see. We will see. Okay. But still, from this analysis itself, we can actually see. So there is actually one more thing, which is actually the radiation. Radiation. Okay. Again, we can actually write, say, T surface minus T, I don't know, T surrounding, okay, divided by Q radiation. Radiation. But radiation heat transfer, we were actually saying Q radiation is equal to sigma A Ts raised to 4 minus T surrounding raised to 4. So therefore, we can see it is a bit tricky. So what we can actually do is, we can actually split this step. Okay? We can actually write this as sigma A Ts raised to 2 minus Ts raised to T surrounding raised to 2 into Ts raised to 2 plus T surrounding raised to 2. Okay, can we write like that? Which identity we have actually used over here?
A square
A
minus B
square minus B
square.
square equal to A plus B into A minus
S
B.
plus B into S minus B. Very good. So again, we are actually reducing this identity. We can actually use sigma A Ts plus T surrounding into Ts minus T surrounding into Ts raised to 4 plus Ts raised to 2 plus T surrounding raised to 2. Okay. So now we have actually come up somewhere. Okay, Q radiation. So the Ts minus T surrounding over here, and the Q radiation is actually over here. Okay. So therefore, what is actually here again we can actually write as a common thing HR into A. So therefore, we can actually write HR into A into Ts minus T surrounding. Okay. So where HR is equal to sigma, okay, sigma into Ts plus surrounding into Ts square plus T surrounding square, where HR is equal to sigma Ts plus T surrounding into t s raised to s square plus the surrounding square. Okay. Okay. Actually, there is actually one term which actually makes is actually the emissivity. Okay. So everywhere emissivity is also there. We will actually see what is actually emissivity and all later. So if whatever we are actually dealing with is actually not a black body, then we have to actually deal with the emissivity. Okay, emissivity also comes into picture. So that is actually the thermal resistance for radiation heat transfer. Okay. Yeah. So now we have actually seen the resistance for conduction, resistance for convection, and resistance for radiation. Okay. But what happens? Yeah, and we have actually seen how we can actually what we can actually do for each and every situation we will actually see. Okay. But what happens if two things comes as in series or in a combined manner? If two things comes, what we will actually do? Okay. So that we can actually see from one example. Okay. Yeah. Here we can actually see one more example. The same slab, what are we actually saw in the last time? Okay, same slab at x is equal to 0. We are having temperature T1, but x is equal to L. What we are actually saying is our condition is the convective boundary condition, where we are having H as well as T. Okay. Yeah, so therefore we will actually say at x is equal to 0, t is equal to t1. At x is equal to L, h into t2 minus t infinity is equal to minus k dou t by dou x at x is equal to L. Okay. We know that t2 is also unknown. Okay. We don't know what is actually t2. But T1 we know how much is actually that. H we know, T infinity we know. Okay, so that is actually the condition. So assumption is that T1 is actually greater than T2, which is actually greater than T infinity. Okay. So that means that is Q is in x direction, okay, or positive x direction. X direction. Okay, where x is actually in this direction. This is actually x. Okay, yeah. So with this basis, we are actually trying to see what is actually the solution for this. We know the basic equation is d square t by dx square is equal to 0, and integrating twice, we will actually get t is equal to c1x plus c2. Okay. Yeah. So likewise, same thing. We are actually going to find it. So we can actually say this is actually A, because the numbering we have already done. This is just another example we are talking about. Okay. Yeah. We can actually say yeah, at x is equal to 0, at x is equal to 0, T1 is equal to C2. Okay, so we got C2 is equal to T1 now. Okay. So now the next one is at x is equal to L, we have to actually write h into T2 minus T infinity is equal to minus k. What is actually dt by dx? What is dt by dx?
C1, sir.
C1. Very good. Okay. But we know that H2 is also an unknown quantity. Okay, so then from here we will get C1 is equal to H into T2 minus T infinity divided by K, minus also going to be. Okay, we can actually write it, but this is actually a useless equation for us. Why? Because we don't know what is actually T2. So therefore we cannot actually calculate what is actually C1. So we have to actually write C1 in terms of non-quantities like a T1 or H and T infinity and K, all those things. Okay, so that's what we are actually going to see now. At x is equal to L, this is actually the condition. Okay, we can actually write it as actually B, but we also know, we are actually putting these condition x is equal to L into this condition also. Okay, putting x is equal to L in A, we'll get T2 is equal to C1L plus T1. Okay, is that okay? Can we actually write it like this? T2 is equal to C1L plus T1. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now if you actually see from equation B and C, there are actually two equations and there is actually two unknowns, T2 and C1. Okay. So therefore we can actually easily find it. So what you have to actually do is simply put C in B. Okay. So then you will actually get H into this T2 we actually got. This T2 we can actually put in over here. Okay, C1L plus T1 minus T infinity is equal to minus K into C1. Okay, so now we can actually see C1 is actually only one unknown in this equation. So the here we will actually get C1. Yeah, so again we can actually write H into T1 minus T infinity is equal to minus C1 K plus HL. Okay, is that true? So we are just multiplying H into this. We are taking this term on this side and again taking the C1 common. Okay, so therefore we can actually write C1 is equal to minus H into T1 minus T infinity divided by K plus HL. Okay. So now we actually got T1 as C1 as well as C2. So now we can actually write T is equal to T1 minus, okay, T1 minus because C1 having some minus term, that's why we are writing C1 minus H into T1 minus T infinity divided by K plus HL into X. Okay, so that is actually the temperature profile for this particular system. Okay. So that's how. So here we can actually see by introduction of a convective heat transfer how the temperature profile is actually going to be varying. Okay. Yeah. So now what we will actually do is we will actually see what is actually the heat flux and load. So maybe that we can actually see for tomorrow. Okay. And tomorrow we will actually see what is actually the heat flux for this particular system, because here now the two different systems are actually coming in series. Okay, the convection as well as conduction, they are all coming in series over here. Okay, so those things we will actually see, and if we are having such a system, what we have to do, etc., we will see for tomorrow. Yeah, but next class we will be having the tutorial only, right? Yeah. Yeah, so maybe next week we will actually see the further on what we can actually do with this thermal systems. Okay, yeah. So next class we will be having the tutorial. Before that, I will actually send you the questions. Okay, so I urge everyone to go through the questions. So while we will actually seeing this or discussing these questions, then it will be actually very easy for all of you. Okay. Any doubts still here? Okay, then we can meet for the tutorial, which is on Thursday. Okay, Thursday. Thursday, what time? 10 to 11. Yeah, Thursday 10 to 11. We will actually meet. Okay. Okay. Have a nice day to all that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.